So we now have 8.11, which was formerly 9.1, Police Scotland, Midlothian Community Action Team. Mr Anderson, please.
Thank you, Provost. Following the previous report to Council on the 1st of April on expiry of the service level agreement between Police Scotland and Midlothian Council in funding the Community Action Team, a subsequent funding offer from the Council to Police Scotland has not been accepted. Members will be aware that Police Scotland provided the Community Action Team police officers funded by the Council, which were tasked and deployed on a range of issues throughout Midlothian. The team of 11 officers worked jointly with the Council and key partners to sustain performance in dealing with antisocial behaviour, reducing crime, improving the quality of life and promotion of safer communities. Prior to the SLA expiry on the 31st of March this year, it was clear through consultation conversations between Council officers with Police Scotland that due to resource and policy factors, such as the police pay award and the employer's national insurance increase, that the respective parties to the SLA were reviewing the model as it existed, as if it were to continue at a flat rate, it would only fund a reduced Police Scotland staffing provision. In consideration of that report on the 1st of April, elected members decided that the real terms funded offering was to be made to Police Scotland in acknowledgement that it would only resource a reduced MCAT team. I now report to members that this offer has not been accepted, as Police Scotland has subsequently introduced an enhanced community policing model adopted throughout its 13 divisions, which is focused upon preventing and addressing crimes of violence, violence against women and girls, acquisitive crime, road safety and tackling serious and organised crime. Consequently, there is now an opportunity to review our protective services and antisocial behaviour response to support our local communities by utilising some of this funding resource. Although to note that the $557,000 will only be a part contribution to the efficiency target already agreed and reflected in the 2025-26 budget, and the implementation of any internal team would change the recurring savings indicated in the table in section 5.1 of this report. Provost, this report is for decision to consider the options as to whether to realise a full financial saving amounting to the $557,000 annually, or take a partial saving of that amount for officers to develop and fund proposals of an alternative delivery model that we would report back to Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Anderson. Councillor Parry, please.
Thank you, Provost. I'm going to move option 2 in this paper. I know that elected members will want to have some discussion, some input in this, but I don't think there's anybody in this room that will not have spent an immense amount of time dealing with issues like antisocial behaviour. It is undoubtedly one of the highest priorities for the public, particularly at the moment. And I think that this council should be seen to be taking proactive action to deal with antisocial behaviour, and where possible to be taking a preventative approach to change behaviour and to stop issues escalating. So I appreciate there will now be a bit of scoping work and that will come back, but what I really hope the officers can take away is the input that we'll probably hear this afternoon. But ultimately, to make sure that the model can be as robust as it can be, it really has to be something that's got teeth and that can take enforcement action, and making sure that it's not just a kind of narrow antisocial behaviour team, but it's utilising departments like environmental health, for example. It's really important, I think, when we're scoping this out, that this council uses every single possible power that it can to address antisocial behaviour and make life better for everyone in Midlothian.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy.
Thank you, Provost. Yes, I'd like to second this motion, this paper. Kelly said she was only going to propose it, but she's taken all the words. I fully agree with everything she said here, and I'd take it even further. We need to start looking as a council at what our problems are in society, and it's quite easily solved because we've got people living in council houses with contracts that they've signed. And one example I give the councillors, we had certain people that were causing problems in Dalkeith, and we sent someone to their house and spoke to the parents, and overnight that problem was solved. So I think that we need to be proactive in this and going out and talking to people. We need a team that will do that. The police don't have the time to do that, but with warrant cards we can knock on people's doors, tell them you've signed a contract, you need to start looking after this, that and other thing, and adhere to being part of our society. Thank you.
Councillor Milligan.
Yes, thanks, Provost. You know, in an ideal world, I would 100% agree with the council leader and deputy leader. But we've been here before, where we've had antisocial behaviour teams, and the reality is, it done absolutely nothing. What we're seeing here is we're seeing the removal of 11 frontline police officers. That's 11 frontline police officers from Midlothian to be able to deal with such things as like antisocial behaviour. 3.5 outlines what the director says is the alternative, where Police Scotland have subsequently introduced an enhanced community policing model adopted through 13 divisions, focused on preventing and addressing crime of violence, violence against women and girls, acquisitive crime, road safety, and tackling serious and organised crime. Nothing at all whatsoever about dealing with youth disorder, party houses, etc. And we can take that line of what's antisocial behaviour and what's criminal and take it. More lately, you've seen in Dalkeith Town Centre at night when you were coming down, it sometimes resembled a war zone with youngsters running about and daft, and local people telling me that they can phone the police and there was nobody coming, or they would arrive half an hour later. I see the same in Bonnyrigg and Kings Park from time to time, where you're getting the local residents complaining that you never see a police officer. These 11 police officers, and when you talk to the police on the front line, the cops that dealt with this, they can't speak highly enough about this and about its effectiveness. And here we are going down the line. You know what really gets me? I can't actually understand. Here's an organisation, Police Scotland, being offered over £500,000 to put 11 frontline police officers in there in front, foremost in the community. And even with the 11 police officers, we were still struggling to deal with, we'll call it antisocial behaviour if you want, but I think lobbing bottles across boards and coming in and threatening businesses and making people's lives unbearable, that's a wee bit more than antisocial. I would actually ask if we would consider continuing this paper and ask for a meeting with Police Scotland for them to explain how they're going to deal with stuff like this. Because I absolutely take what the council leader says there. It would be great to be able to divert things, and we should be trialling that, and we'll have that. We'll have CLL workers out there, I'm told, that were working in Dalkeith when all this antisocial behaviour was going on, working in Bonnyrigg when antisocial behaviour, and I'm going to assume that replicates through other areas in Midlothian. But just to take 11 police officers off the front line that we could target towards problemed areas is going to cause us an immense amount of problem, and their communities an immense amount of suffering. And I genuinely say that. There's nothing here in there that indicates that Police Scotland are going to take this on board. Now, we can take on 2 or 3 people and give them warrants and say you've got a responsibility. I've got to say this right now. There's a lot of people, and I hear councillors right round the stable saying to me that we're not tough enough on people who are antisocial. We're not tough enough on people who are making other people's lives a misery. And I'm sorry, but quite frankly, only police officers and serving police officers can make that difference and can actually take instant action. So I would ask if we would consider continuing this paper and asking for a meeting with Police Scotland to actually explain to us why any organisation would say we're quite happy to come down for 11 officers, because it doesn't suit their strategy now.
Councillor Parry.
I agree with much of Councillor Milligan's point. The only thing I would say is it is just a scoping exercise at the moment, so rather than having to bring the paper back and get governance, could we do both? Could we have those meetings at the same time as scoping? Because I think you're right, until we actually see what that new policing model is going to look like, it's quite hard to see how we could fit in with that. So I would ask that we perhaps take forward both as an action, and I think it would be good for all group leaders to meet with the new chief as well and see where we can get to at the same time as doing that complementary scoping exercise.
Oh, sorry, just to confirm there for the microphone, I asked Councillor Milligan if he was happy with that, and he said he was. Councillor Smale, please.
Yes, and there always was some vagueness about where the community action teams had responsibilities and would work, and when the full-on police force, which also have community officers, would take charge. I have to say the CAT teams had been very successful in, for example, seizure of drugs in Midlothian, and that's a topic in which my group has always felt very concerned that we need to be on top of the whole drugs problem as we do slightly better than the rest of Scotland, but it's still not good enough. I agree with Councillor Miller. I'm not quite sure what we're buying into here and whether it would be effective. And presumably the police still have their responsibility, so it's a statutory responsibility on them. So maybe one of the issues is how we interact more effectively with the police. What they generally say at community councils is, we can't be everywhere. There's all this call for let's have a bobby on the beat. That's just physically not possible. And we're in an electronic age where things like CCTV and neighbourhood watch groups, who of course don't cost us very much at all, may be a much bigger part of the solution than they've been hitherto. So the idea of taking on fully paid staff with pension obligations and all the rest of it, and additional costs going to court in here, how much is that going to be, when actually the individuals, if employed by the authority, do not have the ability to arrest anyone? I have some problems that we would be spending money and not getting a result. It's possible we could spend an awful lot less money and get much more out of the remaining police presence in Midlothian. So I would welcome, Leader, the idea that we have a working group and try to develop something where cause and effect are more clear than is currently the case.
Councillor Cassidy, please.
Thank you, Provost. Yeah, I'm listening to this and I'm a bit surprised because we've had this agreement almost 10 years with the police, and in the 8.5 years I've been a councillor, the problem's got worse. The problem's not got better. Councillor Russell and myself have witnessed it at Community Council when kids were running about on the roof of the library. They're running into the library, causing grief to... And we had a police officer sitting in the library with us. And I said, can you get some backup? Because this is getting... with nobody on duty. Now, they finish at 5 o'clock, the CAT team. So we're sitting there at 7 o'clock, under attack, and spending £500,000 a year, and we can't get a cop to come and help us out in the library. So I can't round that circle at all, what Councillor Milligan's describing, because it is actually, we're not getting the service that we need. But we did get it when we sent somebody to the house of two of the perpetrators and they were threatened with eviction. So at the end of the day, I think I know what I'd respond to if somebody came to my house and said, you've got a council agreement here, tenancy agreement, and you're liable to get put out of your house if your kids, you don't take control of your kids. I know what I'd go for.
Can I just check, Councillor Cassidy? Obviously, we've got a slight amendment to what you seconded, in that there'll be a, let's speak to the police, and the three group leaders would be involved there. Are you still happy to second? Right? Okay. My apologies, Councillor Milligan.
Just in answer to Councillor Cassidy's point, I'm very much aware the CAT teams didn't finish at 5 o'clock every night. CAT teams I've seen on at night, overnight, etc. And indeed the reports indicate that they're there 24 hours. I think what Councillor Cassidy's just described, I'm sorry, if it doesn't reinforce the fact that we need more cops on the beat, actually, I'm sorry, it absolutely does, Colin. We already have CLL workers out there who can go to the door. We already have housing officers out there, but that's only for council tenants. Ken, so what happens when the tenants on the council tenants or for private estates or stuff like that? Because it's no, and it's not, by the way, it's not just youngsters. So let's kid on that scope here. It's all youngsters that cause antisocial behaviour, and I'm going to hit down to that. There's that fine line that we're now calling stuff that years ago was criminal behaviour is now classed as antisocial behaviour. I just make the point here that Councillor Cassidy made the point that we're having to got cops to come then, we're going to have a sight less if we just let them walk away.
Councillor Cassidy?
Just quickly, but we had the agreement in place then. We had the supposed backup then. And I was told by the police officer at the library there was nobody on duty after 5 o'clock that could respond. There was only 2 cops serving the whole of Dalkeith in this area. So that, I don't know, maybe you've got different information from me, but that is information I was given by a serving officer.
I think we're in the possibly getting into just tit for tat here. I don't know how helpful that is for moving forward with the conversation. Councillor Virgo, please. Councillor Virgo, please.
Thanks, Provost. For what it's worth, I'm happy for group leaders to take this back and see if we can work out a way forward on this.
Lovely, thank you. So we have the paper with the amendment to speak to the police while the scoping exercise is going on, moved by Councillor Parry, seconded by Councillor Cassidy. Is anyone otherwise minded? No. That is the last of our public papers, and we will now move into private. So if we can just have a wee minute